Hi, my name is Gianna Stanley. I'm a Richmond-based private chef, and this summer I'm taking on a 6-part journey through the RV Agriculture Farmers Markets. Today we're at Urban Farmhouse in Midlothian, the local neighborhood market. Come on, let's go on a journey together. In case it's your first time joining us on this summer-long journey, I am challenging myself to make a recipe with only ingredients from each farmer's market I visit, with under $25 in my budget. This beautiful summer day, we are going with a watermelon gazpacho. It's a one-stop shop, a vegetarian recipe, and something that's so refreshing on these hot Virginia days. I'm here with Jose from Reyes Farm in Colonial Beach, Virginia. We're gonna be doing a watermelon gazpacho today. So that includes cucumbers and watermelon and peppers. Do you have any tips for any of those ingredients on how to store or how to tell what's the best?
Normally, when you see a yellow spot, you always want to face it downwards. When it's downwards, the yellow means where it's grown. Then you thump it with your nail and you hear how it is. It's not too high of a pitch or too low.
Okay.
That's just perfect. That's the perfect watermelon. Yes.
Amazing, we'll take it.
For the basil, you want to keep it at room temperature with a little bit of water, and you can put it in the refrigerator. Don't submerge it in water, just a little bit of water in a cup, and that's how you can store basil.
Love to know more about peppers and what gives them their color, when they get their color.
When they get their color, it means they've been on the plant for a longer time, so they've been getting more nutrients, and the flavor will change a little bit.
Well, thank you so much for all of your tips today. It's been really great.
You're very welcome.
If you're like me, then you know that nothing goes better with soup, whether it's hot or cold, than a nice crunchy piece of bread. Whether it's a crouton or a slice, it's gonna go great with this watermelon gazpacho. So we're here with Kim at RVA Bakehouse to pick up a nice loaf. So Kim, how long have you been baking for?
About 15 years.
Wow, and how long has RVA Bakehouse been active?
I actually started this venture this year.
Congratulations. I'm so excited to bring this home to my kitchen and make into some croutons.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so soft. I'm here with Amy from DNA Farms, who's making flower crowns this week to celebrate National Farmers Market Week. Amy, can you tell me a little bit more about your business and what you do?
Of course, yeah. So it's run by my husband and I. We are first-year market farmers, but we've been growing for years, and we just have a love of growing beautiful things and sharing them with our communities. Yeah, this was just something I've been experimenting with. I started making jewelry because having them covering every flat surface of my house was not enough. I had to wear them too.
The beauty of a vegetarian meal is that I have a couple dollars left in my budget to get a King of Pops Mango Tangerine Ice Pop. The perfect thing for this beautiful farmers market day. We absolutely love it here at what the market managers describe as a Cheers-like environment where everybody knows your name. Come back to my kitchen with me and let's make some watermelon gazpacho. Welcome to my kitchen. I hope you enjoyed the farmers market tour as much as I did. I'm so excited to be going through this watermelon gazpacho recipe. We've done the thumb test to check this out and make sure it's a good one. And I'm really happy to show you this recipe because it's so simple. It uses one piece of kitchen equipment unless you're doing the bonus croutons out of some sourdough. So let's get to cutting. So first things first, we are going to be slicing into our bread. The oven's been on, preheating during this time, and this will be a perfect background cooking activity. This bread from RVA Bakehouse is like a pillow. It's the perfect amount of soft on the inside, and with a little bit of avocado oil, it's going to crisp up so perfectly to garnish on top of our gazpacho. Just make 3 slices for, the amount of portion that we'll have to go with our soup. And now I'm cutting it into strips. Then after that, I'll cut it into cubes. So as you can see here, we're not really going for a perfect square or cube. It's a really rough chop. You're going to see that the edges of the bread are a little bit harder to cut than those inner pieces that kind of crumb apart. And that's okay. We'll have, some tiny little pieces that'll be nice and crunchy and some bigger pieces that'll have a little bit more bite and soak up that delicious soup. So here I have our croutons ready to be dressed in our oil. Personally, I like to use avocado oil when I'm cooking in the oven because it has a higher smoke point than olive oil and some other oils. So I'm just going to be drizzling it on top. Give it a nice little toss around. And these pieces don't have to be drenched in oil. You can really just go light on it. It'll just add up a little bit of crisp, add a little bit of flavor. And we are going to pop these in the oven. Next, we're going to be cutting into this massive watermelon. We only need 2 cups, so I'm going to cut off half of it and store the rest in the fridge. I love to use a serrated bread knife for watermelon. I find that it just slices through the skin a little bit easier than a big straight knife. Look at the color on this watermelon. So all of our ingredients today are going to be going into a food processor, or if you don't have a food processor, it'll be going into a blender. When I'm prepping the watermelon for gazpacho, I'm intentionally leaving on a little bit of the white rind. A fun fact is that this white piece of the watermelon is super high in nutritional value. It is packed with potassium and fiber, and while it doesn't taste great, it can really hide within the flavors of this gazpacho, so you get all of the nutritional benefits without having to crunch on the tasteless, watery part of the peel. And the most important part, the taste test. All right, we've got our 2 cups ready to go in the food processor. Next, it's time to chop up these cucumbers, tomatoes, peppers, and onions. For this recipe, while cucumber skin is edible, I like to peel it off just for the sake of the color. If you haven't noticed, the colors of this recipe are vibrant red and green. So by peeling off the skin of the cucumbers, it's taking just a little bit of the green out so that that red from the tomatoes and the watermelon can really shine through without getting that muddy color. Something fun you can do to get more life out of your cucumber skins is you can soak them in water for a few days and then use that water to water your plants. It's a little extra boost of plant nutrition that comes from our food waste. Similar to the watermelon, we're going to be cutting these in rough chops. It's not so important that they're the exact same shape, but mostly you want to go for the same size. Another great food waste tip is how to use your onion leftovers. You can use them in vegetable stocks or chicken stocks. Usually what I do is I have a bag in my freezer of a bunch of my food scraps. So that could be stems from herbs or the onion peels or the heads of carrots. And all of these can go into a pot of boiling water, reduce it down, and you'll have your homemade veggie stock. Bonus tip, if you eat rotisserie chicken or chicken wings, throw the bones in there and you'll have chicken stock. Just like the watermelon, tomatoes have a lot of moisture inside of them. So I like to use the same kind of cutting board that creates a moat of little tomato juice around the rim. Again, we're just rough chopping these so that they're somewhat symmetrical in size, but not necessarily in shape. The best part about this summer soup is just how simply it comes together. It's so easy, and you could really do it while you're entertaining guests. You have people in the kitchen with you chatting. Doesn't really take as much focus as some other recipes may. The reason why I got this pepper was because it has half of this red skin. So you can really use any sort of sweet pepper for this recipe, but I like to kind of stick with the colors. It'll make that red from the watermelon and tomatoes just pop so much more. And so since we only need half a pepper, I'm just going to be cutting off all of these red bits. Last but not least, we've got our basil here. I'm going to be pulling off a few leaves and can pop that right on top with our tomatoes and peppers. Look for these prettier top pieces and twist them off And that way you have a little bit of a garnish. So this works perfectly as a garnish. Just pop it right on top of your pile of croutons when you're ready to serve. And just like that, all of our ingredients are prepped and ready to go into the food processor. Let's go. So now it's time to get all of our chopped food into our trusty food processor. Again, if you don't have a food processor, it's totally fine to be using a blender for this recipe. Start with our watermelon rinds. Add in a little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt. As a reminder, you can always add more salt, but you can't take salt away. We will be doing a splash of apple cider vinegar for acidity and a little bit of olive oil. And now it's time for us to blend. Croutons out of the oven. And they look beautiful. Now it's time for my favorite part. Let's eat some food. So just from the moisture of all of these ingredients, you get this gorgeous, chunky soup texture. I've got my cute little basil top for garnish. The fresh basil just really shines through in this recipe. It's just so refreshing for a hot summer day, especially here in Virginia with that high humidity. It's just perfectly refreshing, and I wish I could share a bite with you. I hope you'll enjoy making this in your home. Thanks for joining me.